what really is storytelling?
One of the core elements of storytelling is how do you create that emotional connection with your audience? And so they're on this journey with you.
Out of all of my childhood stories, my favorite definitely had to be the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series.
Very cool. We are innately attracted to something that's simple, easy, and quickly digestible. Story serve that purpose. It's not only entertaining, it's not only fun to read, it's a very easy and simple way to absorb knowledge.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Ambition Circuit. Today, I'm back with a guest, Miss Jenny Hsu. I'm very excited to have her, and now I'm going to hand it over to her so she can give a brief overview of herself.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Jenny, and I'm very excited to be on the podcast with you all today. And just a little bit about myself. I am from Taiwan. In fact, that's where I live right now. But today I'm in LA. And as a career, I'm a professional storyteller. I know that sounds a little bit lofty and maybe even unfamiliar for many of you, but as we continue to talk throughout this podcast, I will explain more about what is storytelling. Why is it important in our daily lives? And why do you need to master it, even if you're a college student? I'm also the founder of a communications advisory called Day 2 Studio. We're based in Taiwan. And our main goal is to help startup founders and business leaders to really develop an engaging narrative so they can attract the right people, whether it be investors, talent, customer in their corner. And because we understand that a lot of really brilliant tech founders are so good and are so good at creating products that sometimes they forget that their product, if explained in a simpler and more accessible term, it will be much wider received. And that's where we come in, is to help them to develop an engaging and compelling narrative.
Awesome. You know, Jenny, that sounds really interesting. A professional storyteller. I'm really excited to delve into more of what you do. And it's interesting you say that because, you know, I remember I was just scrolling through Wall Street Journal and there was an article that caught my eye back in December. And it was about how companies in general are really seeking storytellers. And
That's
so
right.
as someone in the industry, what do you have to say about that? Why is that?
Yeah, you and I both read the same article. And when
Oh,
I read it,
nice.
I was like, amen. Finally, someone is talking about it. This is great.
Recognition, of course.
Right, exactly. And one of the things that caught my eyes is how much professional, good storytellers are getting paid. I remember it's over $250,000 per year. So,
Wow.
so really hone up your storytelling skills. And of course, storytelling, as explained in the article, for these corporate companies, it's very much about customer acquisition and long-term strategy and long-term growth. How do you hook someone in, and how do you create that loyalty so they want to stay with you? As a storyteller, there are different elements that you want to hit when you pitch, when you present yourself, and I'm happy to I'm happy to share with some of my thoughts on that with your audience as well.
So, you know, and we're all excited to hear that, but I feel that before we get into all of that, we should kind of discuss at a face level and a little bit deeper what really is storytelling and professional storytelling.
Very good question. Well, you tell me, do you have a favorite story growing up?
I mean, growing up all the times my family was big on reading, so of course I read the childhood classics. I've read The Given Tree, The
Yes.
Hungry Caterpillar, and I kind of matured into my Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Geronimo Stilton days. But more recently, you know, literature changed once we reached high school and we started reading books by George Orwell. We started reading 1984. We started
Yes.
reading Animal Farm. And, you know, I think it was just cool being able to be surrounded by so many kinds of literature, fiction, nonfiction, science fiction, and just seeing how it all kind of pans out. But I would have to say that out of all of my childhood stories, my favorite definitely had to be the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series.
Very cool. Very cool. And I believe that he is so popular among young teenagers because he is so relatable and that you're
Of
able to
course.
resonate with him.
Definitely.
And that is actually one of the core elements of storytelling, is how do you create that emotional connection with your audience? And so they're on this journey with you. this is actually a very great segue into what storytelling is about. We as humans, our number one goal in life is not to make money, is not to be fit and be jacked, whatever your young kids are saying right now. Our number one goal in life is survival. And so psychologically, we tend to go to whatever that offers the least resistance. So we take the path of least resistance, which means that we are innately attracted to something that's simple, easy, and quickly digestible. Now, what does that have to do with stories? Stories serve that purpose. It's not only entertaining, it's not only fun to read. It's a very easy and simple way to absorb knowledge. For example, when you read 1984 or Animal Farm, was it fun? And I wouldn't say fun, but did it create?
It was entertaining. It was enjoyable.
It was enjoyable. Very
For sure,
good.
it was enjoyable.
Did that conjure up some sort of emotions within you as you were reading it?
I think it would conjure up two emotions. It conjured up one emotion about an interest of the kind of topics that were being discussed. So, talking about capitalism, communism, and socioeconomic kind of structures as a whole, and how I could read about them outside of the literature. But on a much more simpler level, it provided me with an emotion to flip to the next page and the curiosity of what was coming next.
Excellent, excellent. And did any time in the story did George Orwell come up and said, "This is the definition of capitalism. This is what happened." That's it.
Nope.
Exactly. It's because he's able to use story to convey his message. And even right now you're in college, you still remember that emotion, and you still
Definitely.
remember the teachings and the lessons that you learn from that book. And that's what makes it such a classic story. The last time I read it, oh my gosh, yeah, probably back when I was in high school, and I still remember the characters, especially Animal Farm. They're just
Definitely.
It's because he's able to create something that's easily digestible, easily remembered, and easily repeatable. So the idea of a story or in communications, the purpose of any communication is to elicit the desired action from your audience. It could be as big as founders talking to investors and wishing that they would write a check for him. That would be the desired action. It could be as me trying to get my nephew to pick up his socks. That is also a desired action that I want him to do. But no matter the end goal of your communication, the purpose is to successfully elicit the desired action that you want them to do. Now, a lot of times when we go pitch or when we do storytelling, sometimes people are so eager to show off what they know that they forget in this story, you're not the hero. The hero is the person that you want to perform the action. The hero
Definitely.
is the person that you want to make the changes, that you want them to have to perform the action that you want them to perform. And so in a story, you have a couple of elements. One, you always have the characters. So you have a hero, which let's put it this way. Have you ever seen the movie Barbie?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so let's just dissect that movie, and then we could go through the different elements that movie hits in terms of storytelling. So, first element, you need to have character, and you need to have a hero. And the hero is someone that is searching for something. They're going on a hero's journey. They want to be bigger. They want to be better. They're looking for a solution to the problem that they're facing. So this hero probably burdened with a mission to solve a problem. So you have a hero, and then you have a problem, a conflict. And then you have a guide. The guide
Mhm.
is the wise person, the person with the great ideas, the person who had the same experience, the person with the empathy, and able to come in with good suggestions and recommendation on this is what you need to do. So the guide oftentimes is would be the best supporting actress role instead of the leading lady. But yet that
Oh,
person is extremely important in
important.
helping the hero accomplish his or goal. And
Definitely.
the last is you need to have an implication is
Mhm.
okay, the guide has come up with a plan, presented the plan to the hero, and then it's up to the guide to say, okay, what are the implications of if you don't do the plan? And what are the positive implications if you do implement the plan? So let's go back to Barbie. The story
Okay.
is about a beautiful Barbie who's lived in this perfect world, at least according to her imagination. She is, everything goes her way every day, every second of the day, and she's always happy. It's all about dancing and party and looking just flawless.
Of course, yes.
So that's our hero. The problem that she faces all of a sudden one day when she woke up, she started having flat foot. She's not as happy anymore. Things don't taste better. So that's the problem. She's like, my world is turned upside down. Everything is weird and I'm very unfamiliar with. I'm confused. Things feel strange. So that's the hero's journey that she needs to go on to.
Definitely.
And the person that helps her to go on this hero's journey is that we are Barbie to say, well, this is what you need to do. You need to go to the real world and fix this. And then when she gets to the real world, she had to make a decision on what to do. And so if you, that same arc, that the same story arc is played over and over and over again throughout the history of cinema and storytelling. If you think about The Lion King, right?
Mhm.
Simba is the hero. He faces a problem that his family he was lured by his evil uncle.
Uncle, yeah.
Rafiki, the guy, comes in with a plan, and he's able to go back and rescue his family and be reunited with the family. Um, K-pop Demon Hunter, same thing. Um, a lot of these popular movies, the reason why they follow the same formula is because it works, and it works because it helps people to resonate, and it's easily digestible.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So, when you and how does that translate into pitching if you're a founder trying to get money from the investors? You have to make them the hero. You are the guide to help your investor to make the money. And what would be the implication if they don't invest in you? And what are the positive implications if they invest in you? Turn it around. If you are trying to sell something to your customer, if you're trying to sell a coaching plan, if you're trying to sell a computer, whatever you're trying to sell to your customer, same thing. The hero is the customer who is facing the problem of computation power. The
Of
person
course.
needs to have a computer so they could excel at UC Davis. You, the vendor, or the person that the seller is
The
like,
seller, yeah.
I have the solution. I've got this great computer that you could buy, and this will help you to study better. You'll be able to take better notes. You'll be faster than the others, and your data will never disappear. And so
That's awesome.
right, so when you're storytelling or when you're pitching,
Mhm.
remember these four elements: is identify who the hero is. It's never you.
Never you. Always the opposite side.
That's right. And then you have to identify a problem that's actually quite pertinent to them, that you understand that they're quite bothered by it and that they
Mhm.
need help. And then you are
Of
the
course.
guide. You're the Yoda to help them to find their way back to the point of comfort. And then lastly, the
Mhm.
implications of what would happen if they follow your plan and what would happen if they don't follow your plan. Um,
Awesome. That's that's an amazing structure, and I feel like you've defined storytelling really in somehow broadly and narrowly, right? It's everything, but it's also only this thing. And I
Yeah,
think it's very cool how we can connect it all back to science. You can connect it back to business development, to startups, and to pitching. And I think there really is just a lot of application to it. And
that's
so for that reason, I would like to ask you, in your opinion, why should just, any college student, regardless of if they're a business major, an econ major, if they want to go into engineering or the pre-med route, why should just any average college student master the art of storytelling?
storytelling is all about cultivation of relationships. And, if you're able to convince others, if you're able to persuade others, you're just one step closer to your ultimate goal. When I was a college student, I really wanted to intern for this particular company. And I remember I
Mhm.
had to devise a pitch
Yeah.
in order to be accepted to be part of the internship. When I wanted to go to Africa to study abroad for a whole semester, my parents were like, Africa, are you kidding me?
Are
But
you
I had
kidding
to
me? Yeah.
devise a whole pitch to explain why I think this will be amazing for my personal growth, for my academic growth, and how it will broaden my horizon and everything.
Oh,
And luckily, I was able to do both. And I think that as college students, you have so many opportunities out there to explore and to try and to just have a great time experimenting different things. But if everyone is doing it, you need to make sure that you stand out
of
and that you
course.
need to be able to tell your professor why you are the one that should get the extension on this term paper. You need to explain to Microsoft why you deserve an internship opportunity this summer and not the other 500 applicants for a spot
Definitely.
of two.
Definitely. So, taking that element, what would you say is your top three pieces of advice for anyone to be a good storyteller?
Okay. Well, one, I would say make sure you present something in a relatable form.
Okay.
Um, think of metaphors, think of analogy, think of experience that you think everyone has, so they could relate to how you're feeling. Um, Sorry. And secondly, I would say make sure that you do it simple.
Okay.
Simplicity does not mean dumb it down. Simplicity means accessibility. It
Okay.
means
That's a
that,
cool way to look at it.
right, when you're able to explain a very difficult concept in in easily understood format, that means more people will be able to access what you're talking about in your thoughts.
Definitely. Definitely.
Um, I remember Einstein has said the smartest person in the room. Sorry, he says if you're not able to explain something simply, you don't understand it really.
Of course.
Right.
I
And
like
so
that.
that's really important. Um, and of course, when it comes to storytelling, you need to have a lot of empathy and a lot of authenticity in your storytelling. Integrity is the underlining foundation of all communications.
Of
So
course.
be yourself, um, be very true to your commitment and be very authentic and you know let it shine, let yourself be you, put yourself out there. Energy matters.
Of course.
We as human beings, we not only communicate with words, we communicate with energy. And when we're not being ourselves, that energy blocks your light. So if you want to really connect with someone, let your light shine. Let that energy to be ever flowing. So that's the three top advice I would say about communications.
Of course. And, even beyond communications, what would your advice be to people my age, to younger Gen Z people, and to college students in general on how to be a very well rounded person?
Okay, very good. I was just talking to my nephew about it. He's 19. He is
Okay.
college bound. And I said, to me, if I could go back to my college age, I would try, but I would try harder to have a multidisciplinary view on life. That I'm
Mhm.
not just homing in on one subject, but I would give multiple subject a try. You
Oh,
want to be able to know something about everything. So that way you could be the most interesting person in the room.
in the
Why?
room, of
Because
course.
you're able to relate to everybody. One of the best advice that my dad gave me when I graduated and I was in the workforce, he said, be the person that when you go to a party, you're able to strike up a conversation for at least 10 minutes with each person at
With
the
each person
party.
there. Awesome. I love that.
So, I would say take a multidisciplinary view on life. And when I was working for the Wall Street Journal as a reporter, a lot of times some of the best reporters that we had, some of the most fervent thinker, they didn't go to journalism school. They went to business school. They went to law school. They maybe
Wow,
have a background in psychology, and they just happen to be really, really good writers. So
that's awesome.
they're
Yeah,
able to bring in different expertise from different walks of life for that. And I would say another advice I would give is have that win-win reciprocity mentality. And what do I mean by that? It's actually from one of my favorite thought leader named Peter Kaufman. He talks a lot about having that win-win reciprocity, and it goes back to Newton's theory of relativity: is whatever we give, it comes back.
comes back,
Right. And so to think about it, if you push on a table, the amount of force that you push in, the table is pushing back at you.
pushing back at you. Yeah,
Right. And so in relationship, in people to people relationship, the amount of goodwill that you send out is the amount of goodwill that you'll receive. The amount of generosity you send out is what you receive. Whatever
receive.
you output is whatever you'll input. So as a college student, I know we all want to win. I know we all want to be the best. And sometimes we want to beat out the competition. But in our daily lives, think win-win. How do I make sure that I'm lifting as I go up at the same time?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I love that. And I love this talk we had. It was very insightful. It's, to be frank with you, a little bit different than what I usually see on an episode. I think this is the most amount of questions I've been asked by a guest. So it was nice to flip roles and be in the interviewee seat
For sure.
as well.
I'm
So thank you
very
for that.
interested in what you're thinking. You are a very fine young man who is constantly using his brain, and that you're harnessing your curiosity, and it's lovely to talk to you. And I really admire that you have this go-to attitude and that you're just trying to find out. And I think being in a college, it's the best time and the best stage in life to just let your curiosity go. And if one thing I could ask of you is never ever let your curiosity die. Always maintain that curiosity,
Awesome.
because man, the world is so fun. It's so
I
fun.
I appreciate that and I agree. So I will definitely keep that in mind.
Yes.
And with that being said, I think this is a perfect place to wrap up our episode. So thank you so much for your time, Jenny, and for all of our viewers. That was another amazing episode of the Ambition Circuit, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again next time.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Great talking to you.